Welcome to But For Real, a variety show podcast co-hosted by two therapists who also happen to be loudmouth feminists. I'm Valerie, your resident elder millennial child-free cat lady.
And I'm Emerson, your resident chronically online Gen Z brat. And on the show, we'll serve up a new episode every other week that will take you on a wild ride through the cultural zeitgeist, mental health, and beyond.
You'll definitely laugh and TBH sometimes maybe cry a little because this is a silly and serious show.
Buckle up, my friends, and let's get into today's episode.
Your type A is like, staple.
Wait,
cracker. I mean, it's better than sex, I think.
Sean, you better keep that in there.
We are cracking open the liquid crack this morning.
The liquid crack, indeed. And both of us, every time we see each other, we're both like hiding it. We're like, I'm like, don't look at me. But today we're in unity, mama.
Loud and proud.
So cheers.
Cheers. And if you are listening instead of watching, what we are cheersing is our respective Celsius and Alani.
Well, yes.
Just
girl caffeine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I literally said right before we started, I was like, and my GI in 2 hours, we're going to hear from her.
Yeah.
My anxiety, we're going to hear from her.
Like,
and
is it poison? Maybe.
Sure, but like, whatever.
Low dose.
I worked out 3 times this week. Yeah. I can have a little bit of pink crack via Paris Hilton,
Oh my God, when Kim did the Alani flavor.
The Kim-Aid,
yeah,
I mourn, I grieve her. I wish for her back deeply.
I heard they merged.
Yeah,
like
with Celsius.
Celsius bought Alani?
They did, yes. And everyone was like, it don't change Alani's flavor. I was like, just calm down, ladies. It's okay.
It's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine.
Oh my God. Okay, here we are.
We're back to gabba-dabba-doing,
Gabba-dabbing. Oh my God, did I cut off our intro question? That was an accident.
I remember it.
Okay.
My intro question was, because of course for our whole topic today, but I think I just put down like, what is your current relationship to your self-growth or your personal development?
How long do we have for this
I know.
question?
And as I wrote it, I said, Valerie will write 3 novels on this, knowing her.
Of course, we will dive in further.
Yes.
Later in the episode. So I will keep it brief and just say that, like, my current relationship with it is that this is a perpetual edge for me of, like, where that line is between growth and improvement and, like, the improvement hamster wheel treadmill situation, which is not particularly a fun place to be. But I would say that right now, in this particular moment, I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
I feel a little ambiguity to my relationship with this right now. I historically can't stop talking about being 26. That's probably my tea and crumpets every day. But I'm like, I know that the prefrontal cortex maturation, culturally, we talk about 25. I feel like 26, I'm like...
It's like something is unlocking?
Like, I'm like scared, but I'm also curious, right? To where I'm thinking, like, now there's certain things that I just don't think about. I just, like, do, which is kind of fun. But then I'm also like, is this it? Like, I'm kind of scared. So I feel like in therapy recently, I've just been like, what is a spark? How does one find their spark? How does one get their spark back? How do you reintegrate spark as an adult?
Damn.
And so I feel like it's really kind of my, like, selfish reasons for wanting to talk about this today, because I've just been chewing the fat on this, like, in my personal work, to where I'm like, I have pockets of my life where I'm, like, stepping into a little bit more, and that feels exciting. And I also historically fall off on things to where I'm, like, habits are difficult for me, or, like, the self-discipline, which we've talked about before. But, I feel a little bit, like, ambiguous about this right now. And because I'm like, bitch, you're 26 years old, like, you have no idea who you are yet. Like, we're cooking that right now, So it's like, well, to be continued, as much as I like to overly control things. But I'm like, see what happens.
It's still, as Kayla wrote in a lovely blog post that she did for the Gaia Center about, like, being in your 20s. But I would say, like, spoiler alert, this is forever. It is a
Ouch.
process of becoming.
Yes.
So it is not like we reach that destination, right?
And then it's like,
Yeah.
So shout out Maslow's self-actualization. Right. We're going to turn it out. So,
oh, man.
Now it's time for our first segment, Tea and Crumpets, where we tell you what we can't stop talking about this week.
Mine this week, I'm telling everyone with ears.
Okay.
And probably some beings without ears. That they have to watch this film, Bob Trevino Likes It.
Okay.
So this came out last year, though it may be just in the streaming world this year.
Okay.
It premiered at 2024 South by Southwest Film Festival, where it took away the Grand Jury Award and Audience Award in the narrative feature categories.
Okay.
Starring Barbie Ferreira, who I didn't know, but I guess she's in Euphoria.
Euphoria.
And John Leguizamo, who's kind of like an icon.
Yeah.
And written and directed by Tracy Lehman, and this is partially a true story from her life, which is so cool. So I won't say a lot about the plot other than, like, it's a lovely, like, intergenerational, like, guess what, like, platonic relationships can still exist between, like, men and women, you know, hetero men and women, like, and it's just, it will break your heart, but also, like, make you feel human.
Okay.
So was I sobbing? I watched it by myself, and I was like, I already put on my night serum, and now I have wept it away. So that was
You're
a lesson
like, I just
learned.
got rid of $5.
I know. So, what's your tea this week?
My tea is the Abbey Young hair method. Have you ever heard?
No.
Okay. So this is not a new concept also. I'm historically just late to the game. So Abbey Young, she posts content like on TikTok and across the different platforms, but she went really viral for talking about like her hair method.
Okay.
And she, I think, like has a certification as a trichologist and things like that. So
What's
a lot
a
of
trichologist?
I think it's like I
hair
guess it's
scientist?
hair science.
Like TRICH. Okay.
Ologist.
Got it.
Yes.
Whoa.
So I was like, wait, what the frick? So now I kind of want to learn so much about trichology. I'm like, oh. But I appreciate the kind of like science stuff because she was doing a ton of myth busting. How I found her was she was like, everyone is like, oh my God, you can't have sulfates or like stuff in your, and she's like, yes, the fuck you can. Like
your
it's
hair
good
be
for,
dead.
Yeah. Like it be dead and it needs shit. So I didn't like sum it up as nicely as she did, but she has like this whole method and I can feel a little bit of people being like, she's probably sponsored by these brands.
Sure.
Or, I'm like, bitch, whatever.
Just let me have this.
No, just let me have this. And I've been on a hair journey.
Okay.
Without like really
your hair
realizing.
just always looks good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a chopped ass haircut, I think in summer of last year. And everyone really liked it. But I mean, I just went way too short for my liking. And so I kind of spiraled for like 3 months. And then I was like, wait. Let me try. So I haven't necessarily been doing the Abbey Young method since then, but I started implementing some of her stuff, mostly kind of like scalp serum and like hair oiling and just like trying to take better care of the lengths.
Yeah.
I have really fine hair, so like not a lot goes on here. And like I have virgin hair. I don't dye my hair or anything. So it's just been kind of like a nice extension of self-care to like take care of these locks, you know, and like my hair has grown out beautifully. I'm so happy with it. So it's like nice to take care of yourself in a way. So I like really appreciate like how she breaks it down. I don't follow her stuff to the T or every day. There's like some products she uses that are expensive that I just skip out on, but it's been nice. And I'm like, wait, I'm like using drugstore hair care that is like really bomb. I'm like, don't sleep on Pantene, y'all. Like Pantene is that girl. Like, and like I use some like Amika stuff, which is a little bit more high end, but like, it's fun.
Like drugstore brands do not equal shitty products or bad for you products necessarily.
No. And that's kind of where everyone was like, it's all bad for you. And I'm like, I don't know. I was using some higher end stuff and my hair looked like shit. Like, no, it's not always the same thing, right? But I've just been enjoying it.
You know what I can't recommend is chopping your own bangs.
Okay.
Because I just have like a chunk here. And I'm just like, well, it's just going to exist until I go get it taken care of.
Listen, I cut a little bit of my hair off when I was a kid. I was just talking about this at a party a weekend ago where I had a little hair here and I was like, fuck this. I was just like, was being tizzy. And so I cut it. Mama,
like really close to the scalp.
I was bald. Right here for like so long. So as I've been like oiling my scalp and stuff, I'm like, hey, remember when you were 8 and you cut your fucking hair off?
Well, I cut my bangs as like a 6-year-old, and I was about to be the flower girl at my aunt and uncle's wedding. So believe that I am wearing a hat in all of those photos.
You were like in a beanie.
Yeah, I was hat shamed. So
love it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Now it's time for Step Into My Office, where you get advice from your favorite professionally qualified, personally peculiar therapists.
Dear Em and Val, I feel like I'm drowning in self-improvement. Every time I open Instagram or TikTok, there's someone telling me to wake up earlier, heal my inner child, buy another supplement, or completely rewire my nervous system. I honestly can't tell anymore if I'm practicing self-love or if I'm just obsessing over fixing myself. Part of me worries that if I stop working on myself, I'll fall behind or stay stuck forever. But another part of me is just exhausted and wants permission to just be. How do I know when self-growth is actually healthy versus when it's becoming too much? Sincerely, and with premature dark circles, chronically overwhelmed online.
Oof.
Woof. I mean, hey.
I just want to like clap and just be like, that's the end of the episode.
Yeah. And thank you and good night.
You are all of us, listener.
Oh, wow. I mean, thoughts?
Oh, my God.
Just off the dome.
Yeah. I mean, so one creator, and I feel like I plugged him on a recent episode because I mentioned his book, Practice of Groundedness, Brad Stolberg. Yeah. He is like a guy to follow for this content because he really calls some bullshit on like just the hyper commodification of not only the wellness industry, but just generally self-help, self-improvement.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of him and like, what would Brad say? But I mean, it's just like, this is such a complex thing. And the answer, unfortunately, for me, is in neither extreme, right? Because I think that that's part of the problem is that, you know, we get like maybe oversaturated, overwhelmed with the kind of personal growth. And like, I really think that can be deeply problematic, which we'll get into. Yeah. But also like, the answer is not to just be like, well, fuck it, I'll just
do nothing.
Yeah. And so, and I do feel like there's a little bit of that sort of polarized discourse of like, just rest and just be compassionate with yourself. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I think it's like discerning, right? It all comes back to discernment and like, what is your true north and how do you steer in that direction without expecting perfection? And being deeply honest with yourself. And this is something I am actively, I'm sure I'll be learning for the rest of my life. Sure. What is true and genuine for me versus what am I sort of trying to shape myself into as a certain identity or perception, both to myself and others. And so that's, woof. Yeah. What do you think?
No, I really heard on like that last piece with like the shaping of self where, I don't know, like we're just like in this like hyper content time where, and also just like, I don't know, like within the throes of Western culture, we love a fix, we love a Band-Aid, we love like the thing that changes your life and makes you the best version of you. And I have clients all the time that talk about, you know, we talk about this where we're over-functioning or under-functioning and just like how it makes you kind of feel like shit both ways when you're doing either of those things. And, it's really not, there is really not one way to approach this. Like, there are so many contributing factors into what this means. And that's why I think the title, like, I threw the word industrial complex in it, right? Because it's just so fucking layered. Yeah. And really to this listener, you know, like, the discernment piece is huge, which is kind of like, take a shot every time we, like, talk about discernment on this episode. But I mean, learning about discernment changed my fucking life. Learning how to like ride in the middle path changed my life. It changed how I show up as a therapist and it changed how I show up in my relationship with myself. So like knowing that life is literally pretty much always not going to be on either of those extremes to which we seek to prescribe in helps a little bit. It gives a little bit of that wiggle room. The first thing I'm like, please get off the fucking internet. Or you don't, because that's rich of me to say, because I'd be consuming the internet. But, like, please think of how you're consuming this content.
Right.
First off.
Yeah.
Like, just because homegirl is, like, putting her little sleeves like this and cutting fruit in a bento box
and doing her human design
and going to Pilates at 5 a.m. 6 days a week. Like, that's for content. Like, I'm sure yoga girly might actually be doing that, but like, it's content.
Yes.
Please take a step backwards and think about what the actual fuck is sustainable for you.
Right.
What can you do?
That is, I know we've talked about that before, but it's so key to remember that so much of these things that people are saying, well, you got to do this and you got to do this. And oh my God, let me tell you about this. It changed my life. I mean, discernment, of course.
Yes.
But all the external things that allegedly change our lives, it's that so much of that is feeding the content machine.
Yes.
And so it's not just products. It's also rituals, which, surprise, most of those rituals require products. It's also self-improvement programs and coaching and all of that. And like, that, we both are like all about self-development, and I am a coach and love coaching. And so it's not vilifying all of those things, but without discernment, you are a target.
Yes. Yeah, the phone is meant to hook you. Please remember that.
Yeah.
In all those ways. Okay. To be continued here, listener, for sure.
I want to add one more thing here.
Go ahead.
And this is my confession. Did you watch my IG reel the other day?
No.
So that's me laughing at myself.
I was like, what did you put in the reel?
It's like 10 minutes long.
Okay.
So listeners, we'll link it in the show notes. But as I was sharing in the reel, I'm like, okay, I got to share truth while it's fresh.
Sure.
And it's all related to this topic. So, we did our alcohol episode recently.
Yes.
And it's been about 4 months since I've had a drink. And I'll keep this brief here because you can go watch the reel for the more detailed. But I just started getting suspicious about my rigidity with it. Okay. Like what is the rigidity really about? And I realized that it was like, I really think it's a lot more about this identity and this feeling like I get to be a part of this exclusive club than it is like a innate desire or quote unquote need or whatever to have that rigid line with it.
Okay.
And so, I still haven't had a drink, but I sort of had that, like humbling realization of like, if I'm honest with myself, a lot of this feels about like it's about ego and sort of shaping this idealized self. And so I think, we'll see, right? That's the part of the moral of the story is like, try not to be rigidly wed to anything. And that the sidebar for that is like, as I shared about in the video too, like, please, by all means, there are things, and like for me, it's veganism. Like that's a rigid line for me of like it just that feels innate, internalized, or innate, but it feels very deeply internalized, and so that's like I have no problem holding a firm line there. But for a lot of things, and for some people that's alcohol, for some people that's any drug, whatever, it's gambling, it's different things, but I kind of realized that for me, like. The grand gesture feels a lot more sexy. And what feels not sexy is this idea of like mindful fill in the blank. And if I'm honest, and this is the part that I forgot to say in the video, is, I think I mentioned that like, well, I just hate thinking about it. And I'm like, I have to think, I have to put effort and intention and mindfulness and thought into everything that I engage with because I am a hedonist by nature. So if it's good, I want more of it. But that's food, that's spending, that's everything. Yeah. Not all things that I'm just going to be like, well, I just won't do it anymore. It's social media. It's all the things. So yeah, that's my truth right now. Okay. And it's, connected to like, I kind of had the realization a few years ago when I was doing this too, which I don't know why I thought this time would be different, but that it kind of felt like I was doing like the purity version of, like the orthorexia and like being that best, highest version of self with this wellness thing. So again, everyone has their own journey, especially with things like alcohol. But I wanted to own that because I'm like, if any of y'all spot me out having a cocktail and you're like, didn't this bitch just talk about not drinking? Yeah. And that's me tucking my tail between my legs and being like, guess what? Sometimes you got to do that discernment and realize where was this coming from? Is this really internalized or is this me trying to be someone? So anyway, I wanted to own that.
Well, thanks for your truth for one, right? And just like some, like brief commentary around that. I think, like what you're saying, even I caught your comment of like, I don't know why this time I thought it was different. Well, because we always do, right? We always think that we're the exemption, or we think that the next time will be different in the way that it's, I don't know, maybe sometimes like false belief or the ego, or just like, I don't know, my circumstances maybe feel different this time around. And so sometimes it really can be different.
Yes. And that's confusing.
It is. It's really confusing and kind of throws us, oh my God, what's wrong with me or this or that. But like, it sounds like you've really intentionally owned it. And like, no, like tail between the legs, like necessary, right? Like there's, I don't know, like I'm really over like, we have to be just prescribed to this one thing. Again, if you need that and that's your truth and that's the true north, it's fine.
Yes.
But like things are always not that distinct. You know what I mean?
And in a way, I think, like, again, for many things, maybe not everything depending on, your individual circumstance, but for most things in life, we should really be willing to reassess.
Yes.
Right? Our thinking about things, our thinking about ourselves. And that's kind of what it felt like, is like, hold on, let me reassess. So, that's, I strive for that in other areas of life too, of being willing to reassess my assumptions, my beliefs, and so, doing that can feel
self-growth.
Right, and it feels messy because you're like, oh, I don't want to be flaky or inconsistent. But it's like, guess what? Sometimes things change.
Well, guess what? Like, you change also.
Yeah.
Like, every version of yourself is loading right now.
Yeah.
And, like, there's a version of me down the line that really loves something that I hate right now. And I can be open to changing in that way.
Amen.
Okay.
And now it's time for the DSM. In our DSM, all varieties of dysfunction, spiraling, and meltdowns are welcome. In this segment, we break down complicated concepts and common misconceptions about mental health, well-being, and tell you what we really think.
So I really want us to phrase up and talk about self-development as a whole, why the fuck we are all so obsessed with it, being the best version of ourselves, and just, of course, how that all shows up in healthy and unhealthy ways. So I wanted to kind of give some of like the roots of personal development. This is a psychology-based episode. So the early kind of seeds that were planted, the self-help pioneers. We have the American obsession with self-improvement going back to the 19th century, mama.
That's the 1800s, in case you don't know.
We've been here. We've been wondering how to be self-actualized and shit. So, of course, Ralph Waldo Emerson, not who I got my name from, unfortunately, his self-reliance in 1841, which is framing individual growth as a moral duty. We add in the New Thought movement. So this is, your thoughts shape your reality. So you've kind of got the
Napoleon
foundation.
Hill, all of that.
Oh, for TikTok manifestation 150 years ago, baby. We were planting them seeds.
We were.
Okay. So then we kind of come into the 20th century expansion. So we're looking at motivational gurus, positive thinking, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 1936, babe. Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking in 52. Both position self-development as the key to success, mostly in work and relationships. We really started to kind of see those throws in work and career. The human potential movement is kind of the 60s and 70s. So this is when Abraham Maslow historically comes in, the hierarchy of needs, the triangle, if you are familiar. And that very tippy top of the triangle, self-actualization. So his belief that not very many people ever reach self-actualization.
I actually heard that's kind of a myth.
Really?
Yeah.
That was always in my textbooks.
Right. No,
but
I was at a Maslow talk at APA, and I don't remember the full context of it.
Okay.
But I think that it was basically like, that whatever that was taken out of context. And so I think
interesting.
I think he actually believed that a lot of people were capable of it, but maybe not everyone's going to choose it. Right?
Well, it doesn't mean the same thing for everyone.
Exactly. And of course, there's all the systemic variables that might prevent people from being able to get there. But more so, I think that a lot of people aren't necessarily going to choose that less than they're not capable, right?
Interesting. Okay, Maslow. Right? Sorry, babe. And then we have Carl Rogers on the scene. So he's one of our, therapy zaddies, unconditional positive regard, client-centered therapy. So we're really starting to, hit therapy, think about ourselves, talk about shit. We kind of have this like psychological and then like spiritual edge that comes in. So everyone has untapped potential. We have retreats in Big Sur, yoga, hot tubs, psychedelics are booming. So this is really kind of like the birthplace of personal development retreats, you know, all of those jazzy things. And then we had the capitalist turn in kind of the 80s and 90s. So enter Tony Robbins, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, corporate training industry. This now starts becoming a multi-billion-dollar business. And the focus is really kind of shifting from inner wholeness to outer performance. So how are you perceived? What are you putting out? Maximizing productivity, climbing ladders, hustling. And then, of course, the digital boom, so the 2000s to now. Kind of the combination of, like, neoliberal, pull yourself up by your bootstraps with Instagram highlight reels. You get our kind of current pressure cooker. So, like we were talking about, the wellness self-help industry is now valued at over $13 billion in the U.S. per marketresearch.com. Influencers and coaches are, you know, in the guru role, offering personal growth in a cute little package, a manifestation journal that's going to change your life, content, booming, the house down boots. So give us some tea of like why all of this is booming and how it could have boomed across all of these different eras.
Yeah. I mean, there's the economic like instability, right? That when systems fail us, whether that's like housing or wage caps, wealth disparity, that personal growth can sort of feel like, well, I can control this. Prosperity gospel, basically. Of like, if I, you know, just do all the right things, then I too can have what these people, the Joneses or whatever the fuck, I can have what they have. And what's hard is like, and this is the beauty and curse of the American dream, right? That like, well, if you work hard enough, like this, look what this person did, rags to riches. We love an underdog rags to riches story.
Oh my God.
And the fact is that it does happen, right? And so unfortunately that can get overly generalized, and then everyone can feel like, well, if I just tried harder, if I just manifested better or whatever, then I would be, you know, in a better financial position, whatever. So it's very tricky because, of course, like if you have a belief that you're always going to be stuck where you are, that belief could influence your behavior, your thoughts, your behavior, etc. However, spoiler alert, positive thinking is not going to be the be-all, end-all for most people.
No.
There's also that hyper-individualist culture, right? That this framing of it being a moral good. And this is where, like, you know, it's tricky. Again, it's not black and white, because I do think that, like, wouldn't it be wonderful if, and there's this organization, Heroic, that I'm involved with and a big fan of, and their mission is, like, 51% of the world's population flourishing by 2051. Like, why settle for just helping people survive better? Like, what if we could help people feel like they were stepping into feeling more fulfilled and, you know, content and all these things, rather than just having food on the table. So it's a beautiful goal. But again, in an individualist culture, it can still sort of feel like, well, if I'm feeling stagnant, like that's all on me. So it's complicated. Obviously, all of this is super marketable. Yeah. Growth sells. The what's the word I'm looking for? Lifestyle influencer content, right?
Oh my God.
Like, you know, if I see this content and I'm like, damn, her life looks amazing.
Day in my life.
I want to be like her, right? I want to be. Yes.
Day in my life.
Right. That it's like we see this and it's aspirational.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I didn't think to put on here, and I'm not well versed enough to like fully articulate it, but self-discrepancy theory is this sort of psychological theory of like this, you know, the gap between our current self, our ideal self, and it can create a lot of distress.
Sure.
Right? So when that distress is present, it's a very good opportunity to market something to that person and just say, you know, well, if you put this in your life, if you went to this retreat, if you hired this coach or whatever, then you'll be her. Right? Oof. So, yeah, we're obsessed with growth. We're afraid, like the listener wrote in and said, of falling behind.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and it's almost competitive, like you were saying. Like, well, if she's at Pilates at 5 a.m., like, why am I not? And, of course, we don't know the ins and outs of their lives or whatever.
No.
And we like to feel like we have a sense of control, especially now. Like, I think about, like, the time we live in and with AI and everything. Like, we are grasping at control.
Yes.
So there's probably going to be even more of this attachment to self-improvement, climate change, pandemics, all the potential layoffs coming with AI. This cultural myth that we must always be optimizing, work smarter, sleep smarter, rest smarter.
Better.
I mean, I keep going back and forth with this fucking thing on my finger because it's like this morning I'm like, oh, I got a 73 sleep score. And like, oh, I'm not sleeping good enough. And it's really the fucking cat's fault. It's not mine. But
well, and then I think I'm like, imagine a Victorian child to give him an Oura ring. They're like, what the actual fuck is this?
They're just like, I mean, for real though.
They're like, my sleep score. Like, I'm currently sitting on a bed that has fucking asbestos and like arsenic on it and shit.
Bed bugs.
And I stink.
And it's 80,
does my Oura ring tell me that I stink?
It's 86 degrees inside my house. Oh my God.
Like, we just maybe didn't need that info.
Thank you for the perspective.
I mean, sure.
On the Oregon Trail, are we checking the sleep score?
I can't breathe, dude.
We have to laugh at ourselves.
No,
my
we
God.
have to. Laughing is medicine.
So yeah, there's a difference between wanting to grow because, like you feel internally motivated. You're like, I know I'm capable of doing this and it's going to be hard, but I want to step into that versus like this constant chasing your own tail, feeling like one day I'll be good enough.
Right.
So I'll just briefly kind of introduce eudaimonia and hedonia. So these are sort of seen in the positive psychology world as two orientations to well-being. And it's not that like, it's not a black and white, like one person is only eudaimonic and one person is only hedonic. We do maybe tend to lean more in one direction or the other. But eudaimonia, which comes out of Greek philosophy, is sort of this notion of like, the Maslow, right? Of like, we are well when we are honoring our potential, our purpose, our passion, growing. And that, even though that's not easy and doesn't always feel good, kind of acty, right?
It is.
That is the path of most, the deepest sort of fulfillment and satisfaction in life.
Committed actions.
Yeah. And then there's more the hedonic path, which is more like what feels good right now, which sure can be unhealthy stuff of like doing, too many drugs, or gambling or whatever. But it can also be like, what feels good right now is resting, right? What feels good right now is like reading a novel that I love. But it's really primarily just because this is what feels good now.
Yeah.
And so, while those things, clearly the sort of quote unquote best, healthiest, whatever approach is some sort of integration of those two, right?
Both and.
But what's hard is that so much of what we do is sometimes when I'm choosing one, I feel like I'm doing it at the expense of the other. Yeah. Right? We're choosing the short-term pleasure, but it's like, oh, but then I spent, $80 on that manicure and it felt really good, but now that's hurting my long-term, and vice versa, that if I'm pushing, well, that's great, but also like it's coming at the expense of sometimes the contentment or the rest or whatever. So I'm so intrigued by that. I was thinking.
Me too. I'm going to follow that rabbit hole.
Exactly. Like that was one of my possible dissertation topics, and I don't think I'll go in that direction, but it's fascinating, and that's why I created this whole honor your spark thing, and I'll maybe future book called Honor Your Spark. How to honor your spark without setting yourself on fire. Because I do think, like you mentioned the spark earlier, and like we do want, like there's this innate drive for many of us that we want to honor that, like that fire in me that like knows that I am capable of a lot and that I have great things inside me, but we don't want to set ourselves on fire, do we?
Okay. Let's talk, we wanted to talk healthy, unhealthy, and all of these amazing things. So the self-love or self-growth when it becomes self-obsession. Maybe we border into some narcissism. The rigidity. If we're looking at way too much rigidity, kind of like you were talking about within your own discernment, right? Well, I'm being really rigid over these things. It's not feeling good. So that 15-step morning ritual, I missed one of them, and I'm like, whatever. It's like, hey diva, maybe this like is too rigid,
Just hear Emerson's voice in your head next time. Yeah, hey diva. Maybe like give yourself a break.
Maybe like have you heard of self-compassion? It's not laziness or giving yourself a pass. Or just like not doing your morning reading, or just too much rigidity. So there's that piece. Endless self-fixing. Yeah, just that, like, core belief, like, I'll finally be worthy when blank happens. No, you're worthy to start. If you are a human, you inherently have worth, please. Isolation, just that over-focus on me. So you kind of start to hear a little bit like, I'm protecting my peace. And I'm like, hey, you're protecting your peace, but, like, your friend does need a ride to the airport. Like, please help them, Like, the cost of community is inconvenience. Yes. And, like, go kiki with your friend. Like, I know it's 5 a.m. and you'd rather be at Pilates, but, like, kiki with your friend to the airport, if so. Not every time, but, that over kind of isolation there is kind of interesting to keep an eye on.
And I've seen that in very, very toxic ways. Like, both with myself and with others.
Oh, same. And then, some of just, like, the paradox of this all, right? So this pursuit of authenticity and, where, again, when it comes to the social media aspect or just the performativeness, where I have found myself at times being like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, and
look at me. I'm sober.
I'm like, I hit legs today, and I'm like, diva, other people did too. Like, it's not like love that I hit legs. I'm like upping my weight, and I feel strong, and that's awesome. And it's like, okay, like it doesn't have to be like this thing, it can just be like, yeah, I hit legs today, and I feel fucking awesome. Like, how do you feel? It's
be in your life rather than constantly evaluating your life.
Please put the camera down. And just, no duh. And it's not a hot take, really. I mean, I guess it is for some. But, like, if your self-care or your, like, opportunities of growth are just, like, actually stressing you out or making you feel like shit, babe, it ain't the one. Like, please take a step back. Reassess. Because it maybe doesn't need to occur in this way. Or maybe how it's happening in this way is not right for you.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you're wrong, but this application is not what is most sustainable for you. Please just reassess.
Right.
It is okay to, like, pause and take the temperature.
Yeah. And to give, like, a cliche example, if 75 hard is not feeling good for you, guess what? There's still a lot of other ways that you can meet a lot of those same quote-unquote objectives that are not 75 hard or that are not that rigid.
I'm going to start 75 sparkle. Maybe we'll talk about that next time.
So I heard of 75 soft, but 75 sparkle sounds way better.
I saw it on TikTok and I was like, I'm going to make my own 75 sparkle.
What is it?
I have like it's on my phone.
Okay, you got to tell us later.
I'll tell us later.
Oh my God. So let's talk about what happens when you sort of step away from the constant self-improvement.
Yes.
There might be, like we talked about, the sort of cultural myth around, like, well, what are you working toward? Mm-hmm. Like, are you just, like, satisfied? Are you just, like, complacent and lazy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, of course, like, pressing pause on that sometimes, it can actually be really important to allow for the integration, maybe the discernment, the acceptance of good enough. I mean, I probably said this on the pod before, but, like, I designed this thing that says enough, like, 4 times. And then at the top on my computer, because it's wider, it says, like, I am, I'm doing, I have. Yeah. And on my phone, it's just 2 of those. But, like, those are going to be, like, my backgrounds forever for the rest of time because I need that constant reminder and that, we can, it's sort of the both and of, like, it doesn't mean that I'm not working toward any growth, but sometimes we need constant reminders, and you're already enough, and you're already enough. Yeah. And you're already the ice cream, even if you want to add some cute toppings, right? And that's very aligned with, like, the sort of existential humanistic lens. That this isn't about, like, Maslow was never talking about perfecting and reaching some pinnacle of humanity where you're like better than everyone else. No. It's just about becoming more and more true to who you are and your path. Like you said, that true north. And I want to echo what you were saying about like the relational piece of it, because the unfortunate reality is a lot of this self-improvement, self-development stuff, guess what it starts with? That word. Self. And this is not, I mean, I think the pendulum swing, the pendulum always be swinging to extremes. And I think that in some facets of this world, it is way too focused on self.
Yeah.
And so, yes, take care of yourself, love yourself, etc. But if you're doing that and not also extending that compassion and care to your loved ones, to your community, that is what we would call psychological narcissism.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you.
SARS.
Yeah. And so that, self-care that spills out into those, extending rings of compassion and care.
Yes.
And all of the ways that the systems will try to keep us hyper-fixated on ourselves instead of questioning the structures around us. And I've always loved this Krishnamurti quote, "It is no measure of health to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society."
Wow.
So if you're, struggling in ways and you're like, God, why can't I just figure it out? It's like, well, guess what? Like, it's not to say stop trying.
No.
Like, if you really care about something, but don't expect yourself to be perfectly well-adjusted in every way, because our society does not allow for that.
Yes, deeply.
So.
Yeah, so, just the reminder of that middle path, right? The discernment, all of the things, so just, like, tying up some of those tidbits. So, again, like you said, that healthy self-love, that acceptance, it's in the self-compassion. It's in rest. It's in joy. It's in boundaries. It's in challenging yourself. It's in doing something that you never thought you would do before, trying new things. And alongside all of that, checking in on that motivation. So are you improving from curiosity and desire, or from shame and fear, or, of self-perception in a really negative way? So again, those healthy signs, you feel freer or kinder or more connected. I know the first thing I can notice in my own difference is that when I'm feeling connected versus when I'm isolating myself. Ooh. That is my first temperature check. When was the last time I had a touch point with someone?
Yeah.
Deeply. So checking in there. And then, really keeping an eye on that rigidity or that isolation and just that perpetual distorted belief of I am not enough and I won't be until I do blank.
Yep.
It's not true.
But for real, self-development is not about endless growth or constant upgrades. Yeah. It can be about rest. It can be about connection. And sometimes that's saying no to someone else, to yourself. It's if your self-improvement is making you feel worse, maybe it is self-obsession in disguise, right?
Yes.
So how can you honor your spark without setting yourself or your relationships on fire?
Boom, boom, boom.
And now, our musical segment. Now that's what I call Okay, where Emerson and I each share a song with each other each week as representatives of our respective generations. We tell you a little bit about the song or artist, and then we press pause, we share the song with each other, and then we come back for our live reactions. And we're capturing it all on a Spotify playlist linked in the show notes for you.
My song for this week is Love Myself. Of course, I had to think of something to say. This is by Olivia O'Brien. Ever heard of her?
I don't think so. And this is not, okay, I would think I Love Myself, that's Haley Steinfeld, right?
That's Haley Steinfeld.
I don't know this one.
So Olivia O'Brien is 25 years old. She rose to fame in 2016 when her original song, I Hate You, I Love You, was picked up by Nash. He's like a really famous dude. The song appeared on his third EP, and then she kind of started to blow up from there. So Love Myself was released in 2019. And I thought this was tea. In 2024, she launched an independent record label named Girlhood Records after she split from Island Records in 2023 over creative differences. Her song Jocelyn was like a TikTok COVID bop, so I feel like she kind of got a surge in. So, I mean, 2016, I was in high school, so I Hate You, I Love You. I was driving to school every day I fucking hate you and I love you. It was so me being
Drama.
17 and thinking I was emo. I wasn't. So, yeah, it's kind of a bop. This song, I feel like, really is about kind of like those contradictions of, loving yourself, some self-comparison, just trying to, like, accept yourself in all of these ways. So,
sweet.
Felt like a good bop for today.
All right. Okay. I love a good alto.
And she is alto.
Yeah.
Queen.
I know.
Her purple hair, we were gagging and shit.
Yes.
We were like,
yeah, really gorgeous hair in the video.
She's a pretty girl.
My mind was, like, going all over to, like... Because in one of the verses, she's talking about something like, like the haters are gonna hate, and like I don't need you. I just need to love myself. And like, there's a time and place where we really need that message, especially if like, there's bullies or there's just stupid, clicky stuff. But I was also thinking of that like whole thing of like, the most toxic person that is in therapy being told by their therapist that they're right and they just need to love themselves.
Yeah, and they're coming out of it and they're like, you're gaslighting me. Yeah, I'm like, you're the worst.
And there were like a million mirrors. So I did love at the end how she like ended up smashing it. Listeners, do not smash a mirror with your bare hand. Put some gloves on.
Yeah.
But she smashes it and then the mirrors fall away and it's just rain. And like, I like that because I was like, I'm not here for all these mirrors. Like, there's too much self-love here.
You're like, this is giving Funhouse.
Narcissistic funhouse. Oh my god.
The worst person is in therapy and then they're going to a funhouse after to like look at their body.
It's Blanche Devereaux from the Golden Girls if you don't know. Oh my god.
Okay, what is your song, Val?
Well, this was perfect timing because I am doing this music league thing for the first time.
Okay.
It's like a social app where like there's a different theme each week. So my friend Amy was like, "Hey, who wants to join my music league?" And so every week there's a different theme of like, okay, add your song for the all about the lyrics or whatever, like best beat drop. And so there's like maybe 15 people or so. And so someone added, this was the lyrics week, and someone added this song, which I had never heard. It's like a low-key or underground, like 1983 track.
Okay.
So it's called Adventures in Success by Will Powers, which was the stage name used by this celebrity photographer named Lynn Goldsmith. She created this self-help comedy music album in 83 called Dancing for Mental Health. And it's like affirmations set to music, poking fun at all the self-help industry and entrepreneurs that are like building the listener's inner self and encouraging personal growth through the thought that anything is possible. So she does some of the speaking and singing, downshifting her voice to sound male. And there were also a handful of collaborations, some of whom I recognize. Steve Winwood, who did Valerie, Call On Me, Valerie. Carly Simon, Sting. And there were 2 hit singles from this album, and I had never heard of this.
Okay.
And so I was cackling when I heard this song the other day.
What the fuck was that?
Satire,
that was
baby.
maybe the weirdest thing I've seen in the past 6 months. In a great way.
That feels like an achievement.
That face
the
moving?
spinning face.
Yeah.
Guys, in the video, it's not even like a whole head. It's just a face.
It's literally just a face.
Ooh, it's kind of metaphorical. Like, it's who are you trying to be at the surface, at the mask?
Go watch that quickly and be careful if you're like taking a garden gummy or something, because you're going to be like, whoa.
Make sure you remember that it is satire.
Honey, deeply. Okay.
Oh my God.
And now for our last segment of the show, welcome to Fire Dumpster Phoenix. It is rough out there, y'all, and we need all the hope we can get. It's time to go dumpster diving for some positive news and rise from the leftover Happy Meal ashes together.
I just saw this and I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding. I love a child prodigy. So, 9-year-old aspiring pediatric neurosurgeon Aiden Wilkins very well may become the youngest doctor in the world. At only 9 years old, Aiden attends classes 3 days a week at Ursinus College in Pennsylvania, where he's studying anatomy and chemistry.
What's wrong with this child?
At the age of 6, he tested out of his high school's gifted test and is currently enrolled as a sophomore taking virtual high school coursework whilst he navigates his collegiate classes. He says he wants to be a pediatric neurosurgeon because he wants to help kids his own age.
Oh my God.
The little video of NBC, is from the Good News Network. You scroll down and NBC put their little video there. This little eloquent child, I was like, my Shayla! I couldn't believe it. I was like, he's fucking 9 and he's...
Doogie Howser.
He's literally, like, they're showing, like, footage of him sitting in college classrooms. I was like...
Do you even know the Doogie Howser reference?
Who's that? Sorry! I'm all the millennials are about to be like...
Well, to be fair, it's a little before my time, too.
Oh, okay,
so it was
God.
more of a Gen X thing. Neil Patrick Harris, do you know who he is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was his breakout role as, like, a little young, maybe
protege.
an actual teen, but that was the whole thing, was he was this child prodigy, like...
It was like a TV show or a movie?
A TV show.
Okay.
Yeah. So go look up Doogie Howser, MD, because this is little Doogie Howser, neurosurgeon. Oh my God. I can't. We might need to do an episode on, like, prodigies.
I would love to, because what the hell
we'll take the left turn into, like, the whole past lives and all of that.
Well, because I'm like, who is this?
Who is it really?
This 9-year-old child. They're showing a picture of him as sitting in a high chair, like reading a fucking textbook or whatever.
I'm like, I don't believe in past lives until I hear about shit like this.
Me too. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay. What's your good news?
So mine is also the youngins, and I couldn't resist a pun. So this organization is called Greenagers.
Oh.
LOL. So green time over screen time. The Greenagers group gets youths to love the outdoors. So this is a nonprofit founded in 2007, Massachusetts, that aims to instill in teens the value of environmental stewardship. It is the biggest and longest running program that employs crews of local high schoolers who help maintain trails, and they are supervised by college-age leaders. So what I discovered in, like, a deep dive here was they've been around for a long time, and then they finally got this AmeriCorps contract.
Okay.
So they started with their first batch of AmeriCorps volunteers. So it was like kind of half staff that, like, paid college kids, and then half that were, like, grant funded through AmeriCorps. Like, so exciting. They got this 3-year contract. Wow. Boom. Guess who pulled the plug on AmeriCorps? On this grant in April. So they lost all that grant funding that they had worked so hard to get. But they've worked really hard, thanks to donations from individuals and companies and just the tireless commitment of the staff. They have maintained their programming. They even committed to paying the existing AmeriCorps volunteers at least through this fall.
Okay.
And so, it sucks that they had that detour, but they've clearly got a lot of longevity being around for so long.
Yeah.
And I love how they talked about, like, obviously, technology has isolated people so much, and especially that age group. And so interest has really increased in recent years because of that. And it really teaches communication skills. Like, not only are they taking care of the environment and learning to really be a good steward of that. So the founder and executive director says, group work is the type of thing everybody rolls their eyes at in high school. But teens in this work come together toward a common goal. And he says that many parents whose kids get involved with Greenagers say, like, well, my kid didn't really have an interest in going outside or know what to do outside, but now they can't get enough of it. So I love that. And I'm just so glad that they're still going to be forging ahead, doing the good work, even with, the tangerine toddler pulling $400 million in grants to AmeriCorps. They are keeping it going.
Wow. I mean, how needed, right? Kids, go outside, touch grass.
Yeah, and, like, maybe learn to care for her.
Yeah, brush the grass hair. Take care of our mother.
Pick up the trash that people have put on her.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's all we have for this time.
I know. Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you at the next one.
Bye.
This has been another episode of But For Real, produced by Valerie Martin and Emerson Ryder and edited by Sean Conklin.
But For Real is a Gaia Center production. The Gaia Center offers individual, couples, and group therapy for clients across Tennessee and in person in our Nashville office, as well as coaching for clients worldwide. For show notes or to learn more about our work, visit GaiaCenter.co or find us on Instagram at The Gaia Center and at But For Real Pod.
But For Real is intended for education and entertainment and is not a substitute for mental health treatment.
Also, since we host this podcast primarily as humans rather than clinicians, we are not shy here about sharing our opinions on everything from snacks and movies to politicians and social issues.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode.
See you next time, bestie.